In Things Fall Apart, Okonkwo is a wealthy and respected warrior of the Umofia clan, a lower Nigerian tribe that is part of 9 connected villages. He is haunted by the actions of Unokwa, his cowardly father, who died in dishonor, leaving many village debts unsettled. In response, Okonkwo became a clansman, warrior, farmer, and family provider. He has a 12-year-old son named Nwai, who he finds lazy. Okonkwo worries that Nwai will end up a failure like his father. In a settlement with a neighboring tribe, Umofia wins a virgin and a 15-year-old boy. Okonkwo takes charge of the boy, Ikemifuna, and finds an ideal son in him. Nwai likewise forms a strong attachment to the newcomer. Despite his fondness for Ikemifuna and despite the fact that the boy begins to call him father, Okonkwo does not let himself show any affection for him. Ikemifuna stays with Okonkwo's family for 3 years. Nwai looks up to him as an older brother, and much to Okonkwo's pleasure, develops a more masculine attitude. Izuda, a respected village elder, informs Okonkwo in private that the Oracle has said that Ikemifuna must be killed. He tells Okonkwo that because Ikemifuna calls him father, Okonkwo should not take part in the boy's death. Okonkwo lies to Ikemifuna, telling him that they must return home to his home village. Nwai bursts into tears. As he walks with the men of Umofia, Ikemifuna thinks about seeing his mother. After several hours of walking, some of Okonkwo's clansmen attack the boy with machetes. Ikemifuna runs to Okonkwo for help, but Okonkwo, who doesn't wish to look weak in front of his fellow tribesmen, cuts the boy down despite the Oracle's warnings. When Okonkwo returns home, Nwai realizes that his friend is dead. Okonkwo sinks into a deep depression, and he doesn't eat or sleep. He visits his friend to feel revived a bit. Okonkwo's daughter Nzima falls ill, but she recovers after Okonkwo gathers leaves for her medicine. The death of Ogbu Izudu is announced to the surrounding villages by means of the ikwe, a musical instrument. Okonkwo feels guilty because the last time Izudu visited him was to warn him taking part in Ikemifuna's death. At Ogbu Izudu's large and elaborate funeral, the men beat drums and fire their guns. Tragically, Okonkwo's gun explodes and kills Izudu's 16-year-old son. Because killing a clansman is a crime against the Earth Goddess, Okonkwo has to take his family into exile for 7 years. He gathers his most valuable belongings, takes his families to his mother's village, Mbanta. The men from Ogbu Izudu's quarter burn Okonkwo's buildings and kills animals to cleanse the village of his sin. Okonkwo's kinsmen, especially his uncle, Uchendu, receive him warmly. They help him build a new compound of huts and lend him yam seeds to start a farm. Although he is disappointed at his misfortune, Okonkwo reconciles himself to life in his motherland. During the 2nd year of his exile, Obirika brings several bags of calories that he has made by selling Okonkwo's yams. Obirika plans to continue to do so until Okonkwo returns to the village. Obirika also brings the bad news that Abame, another village, has been destroyed by the white man. Soon afterward, 6 missionaries travel to Mbanta through an interpreter named Mr. Kiaga. The missionaries' leader, Mr. Brown, speaks to the villagers. He tells them that their gods are false and that worshipping more than one god is idolatrous. But the villagers do not understand how the Holy Trinity can be accepted as one god. Mr. Brown grows ill and is soon replaced by Reverend James Smith, a strict man. The more zealous converts are relieved to be free of Mr. Brown's policy of restraint. One such convert, Enoch, dares to unmask an Igwugwu during the annual ceremony to honor the earth deity, an act equivalent to killing an ancestral spirit. The next day, the Igwugwu burn Enoch's compound and Reverend Smith's church to the ground. The district commissioner is upset by the burning of the church and requests that the leaders of Umofia meet with him. Once they are gathered, the leaders are handcuffed and thrown in jail, where they suffer insults and abuse. After the prisoners are released, the clansmen hold a meeting during which 5 court members approach and order the clansmen to desist. Expecting his fellow clan members to join him in uprising, Okonkwo kills their leader with his machete. When the crowd allows the other messengers to escape, Okonkwo realizes that his clan is not willing to go to war. When the district commissioner arrived at Okonkwo's compound, he found that Okonkwo had hanged himself. Obirku and his friends lead the commissioner to the body, and Obirku explains that suicide is a grave sin, and according to custom, none of Okonkwo's clansmen may touch his body. The commissioner, who's writing a book about Africa, believes that the story of Okonkwo's rebellion and death will make for an interesting paragraph or two.
In Things Fall Apart, there are many important characters. The main character, Okonkwo, is known for being impulsive and short-tempered. He beat his wife and children if they ever displeased him. In his younger days, he was known as the best wrestler in all of the 9 Igbo villages. His eldest daughter, Izinma, was his favorite child. She had her father's spirit and was skillful in many ways. So much that her father wished that she would have been a boy so that he could teach her to be just like him. She was also described as very beautiful, as Okonkwo compared her to the beauty of her mother, who was considered the village beauty. The eldest son, Nwoye, was gentle, compassionate, non-violent, and, even as his father put it, not manly. He was easygoing and preferred to listen to gossip rather than war stories like most boys his age. He was converted to Christianity by Mr. Brown, who was another very important character as he was a missionary who came to Umuofia to spread Christianity and to convert the people there. He was a patient, kind, and understanding man. He was also very open-minded and willing to make an effort to respect and understand the Igbo beliefs. Some of the many themes in Things Fall Apart include ways to deal with changes in society and societal expectations, as Okonkwo accepted change much differently than some of his friends. After coming back from his banishment, he was shocked to realize how much had changed in Umuofia in the time that he was gone, and he found it very hard to accept it because he grew up in a drastically different environment.
Things Fall Apart is based in Nigeria, specifically southern Nigeria, in a region known in the story as Mbanta. There are 9 villages in the region, which are all part of one tribe. The story takes place around the late 1800s to the early 1900s. The conflict of Things Fall Apart is about the clash between the Igbo culture and the encroaching British colonial power, as well as the internal struggles of Okonkwo, who struggles with his social expectations in his tribe and his responsibilities, as well as his own personal thoughts and masculinity. The author of Things Fall Apart uses third-person omniscient narration, straightforward diction, and simple sentence structures to create a sense of formality and neutral repurgation, while also incorporating Igbo oral traditions and literary devices like symbolism, imagery, and metaphors to explore themes of colonialism, masculinity, and cultural identity. Things Fall Apart is a story with many lessons that can be taken from it. It talks about the struggle of a man watching as everything he has built falls down. It is the story of a man watching his empire become ruins. These lessons can be used in our lives. It shows that we must be able to control our emotions and not keep them all internal like Okonkwo does. The keeping of his problems leads to his death. We can't overwhelm ourselves with our own thoughts to the point of exhaustion. We should instead be able to express our internal struggles, to be able to work through them with others. We can also take away that we can't control everything. Some things are destined to fall apart in our lives, whether it be friendships or our job, among other things. We must be able to deal with the fact that sometimes it isn't always our fault. Like Okonkwo's gun exploding, we must realize that sometimes things fall apart.
So strange.